Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this 30-minute webinar for Active Operating Picture, an extension for GeoCortex Essentials focused on incident response in the public safety domain. My name is Cam Barnard. I'm a product manager here at Latitude Geographics, and I am the product manager for Active Operating Picture, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to walk you through it today. The first thing you need to understand about Active Operating Picture is that it is a bespoke application specifically for incident response. And before I dive into features and capabilities, I thought it was important to give you a little bit of information about where it came from and the goals and the motivations behind it. Our technology, GeoCortex Essentials, has been used in public safety for quite some time, and the owners of our company, who believe very much in seeing geography help people make better decisions to improve life, thought public safety was an excellent place to focus. So I had the opportunity to go out and speak to many fire chiefs and operation centers all around North America and a few internationally as well. And based upon all that, we built a profile. And that profile is a fictitious individual. His name is Larry Green. You can see here a part of his persona. It talks a little bit about his background, his capabilities, and his biases, but perhaps most importantly, his goals. What are important to him? And this set of goals drove every decision we made in the construction of this product. It is all about protecting the public, preserving lives and protecting property, keeping field response teams safe and well informed and connected, accurately understanding the current situation to make good decisions, and of course maximizing the effectiveness of field assets. Now, we broke it down further. We looked at specific tasks that our persona needed to do regularly during an incident, and again, we used these to test and examine the application at every step along the way. What that led us to was a goal-driven design approach that really focused on these three goals: about understanding and communicating the overall situational awareness, about being able to access complete, accurate, well-organized information as quickly as possible, and being able to equip and protect field responders. Now, it's important to realize that in many cases, these technologies and tools have existed for our incident commander for some time, and yet they weren't organized in such a way as to really be as valuable as they could be. And I'll show you a couple examples of the differences. Now, everything I'm going to show you today is mobile ready. So everything you're seeing runs on a desktop in a web browser, on a tablet, on a handheld, and this includes all the features around real-time collaboration and everything else that we are going to inspect together. Now, as we were doing development, our development based on those goals was built around 5 big themes. Accurate, well-organized information, you can see the theme there, about connecting and keeping field responders safe, being able to deal with real-world, real-time information. There's a lot of things going on in the real world that we need to make sure our incident commander is aware of. Providing simple tools for rapid iterative planning. I continually heard phrases like, let me get something up quickly and then change it over time. And then ultimately allowing after the incident for after-action playback of these incidents for review, for training, for learning, and for future planning. So I'm going to walk you through each of these themes, show you some examples from the software, and demo each of them briefly live. And here we go. Our first theme is around accurate, well-organized information as quickly as possible. Now again, sometimes this information was already available, but it's important to realize that for our incident commander, the tools that we have given them in the past really did not suit well. How do they look for data? Ultimately, what they're asking for is not to make them hunt for information. So giving them a whole toolbox of tools. What's the address? Where? Here. Here's the address. What's the coordinates? Where? I just told you. Here. Oh, here's the coordinates. Hey, where's my address? It's just these piecemeal tools don't really cut it for our incident commander in an incident. So what we did was we reorganized the paradigm. We turned it on its head and we realized it's about taking all the information that an incident commander needs and making it available in a few simple interactions. To tap or click on the map, you're able to get your address, your coordinates in your current coordinate system, current weather at that location, including temperature, wind, direction, wind speed, and relative humidity. Weather information can be extremely important, of course, during storm events, flood events, not to mention chemical dispersions or fires where you need to understand which direction the wind is coming from. I also heard time and time again that imagery is king, being able to see where field responders are headed or where they are and understand the lay of the land through imagery. That might be Google Street View, Bing Bird's Eye View, high resolution satellite imagery, services like pictometry integrated, for example. And then being able to perform quick actions, what I call one-tap answers at that location. So I want to simulate an ERG chemical spill or a bomb blast, or I just need quick directions on how to get there from where I am. But these one-tap answers can be tailored to your particular organization. So if every time you look at an incident, some of the first questions you're going to ask are, where is my nearest medical facility, for example, or who is my closest unit? We would pre-configure the system so that those questions are only ever one click away from you. So this is about tapping for information about a single location. But sometimes it's not about just a point, sometimes it's about an area. So we've created a second tool for our incident commanders or our field responders to be able to draw an area on the box or to use an existing area on the map and to be able to then ask questions of it. Essentially, give me a mini briefing book on this area. Now, out of the box, what we supply is a demographics summary. This is powered by ArcGIS Online geo-enrichment data, but it can also be powered by your own demographics services if you have them. And then relevant geolocated social media from the last 60 minutes. During an incident, those images can provide powerful pieces of information for an incident commander. Now, those are the two that we provide out of the box, but because this is built on top of GeoCortex Essentials, you have a massive amount of potential for including additional information. So our customers who have implemented this solution to date have put things in here like critical infrastructure. So they ask their GIS team to put the layers in place for them to be able to understand what critical infrastructure is affected in this area. Or building pre-plans, often with fire departments in particular, they will create building pre-plans for key buildings showing access and egress, or ingress and egress, gas shutoff valves, hazardous chemical storage, all the things that the people on the ground really need to know. They'll pre-create that in a PDF map, attach it to a point, and then that becomes one more thing in the briefing book, and they just pop up in that area. Special needs registry is another example. Many counties or areas have voluntary special needs registries. If you need to go into an area, isn't it good to know when someone has said, hey, I require electricity or I could die, I'm on oxygen, I need additional time, etc. So there are many, many things you can put in here. And again, it's all about you in your jurisdiction. You know what data you need during an incident, and we make sure that it's there for you by drawing a box on the map and getting everything in one place. Here's an example of what the social media, the geolocated social media looks like, and also an example of a demographics summary that I created near San Antonio, Texas, to show you a little bit about population summary, household summary, owner versus renter, age distributions, and even languages spoken. So if I have to evacuate a neighborhood, for example, I may need to know if I need Spanish-speaking folks along to communicate well. All right, that's fun, but it's more fun to see it live, so let's jump and do that. Here I am in downtown Victoria, British Columbia. I will begin with the really simple thing, which is tapping on the map. You can see I've got an address here, coordinates, currently misty outside, about 13 degrees Celsius, wind from the west-southwest or 254 degrees. Not too windy, only 1.76 kilometers per hour, and a fairly high relative humidity. Now, again, I can get imagery at this location very, very quickly. So as I come here and I say, okay, you know what, I'm interested in Google Street View and pictometry level imagery, I can now have a look around and see what it is that field responders are going to be walking into. The other things I can do from this location, of course, is I can do things like simulating a bomb blast, for example, or routing. So let me do a spot over here from my location. Now, If I was on a mobile device, it would know exactly where I am. I'm actually sitting somewhere over here. And you can see it's able to calculate the best route to get me there, give me approximate distance and time. So this idea of one-click answers are key. If I was to use a different area, again, it will go ahead and do that calculation from my device's current location and show that to me quickly. Here's an example of a bomb blast simulation. With each of these workflows, these one-click workflows, what we do is we let you decide where you want it to go. I'm going to put it in the info room. This is a pipe bomb. And what it will do is it will go ahead and calculate the initial blast radius and the larger evacuation zone, put the markup directly into the collaboration room, which can then, of course, be seen by others and will be able to be played back during after-action reporting. So those are all point-click features. In terms of areas of interest, just to show you what that looks like, select a chunk of my downtown core here so that we can see what comes back. And we've got a demographic summary showing population, households, and the like. We also have geolocated social media. Not too much, it's fairly early in the morning here, but you get the general idea of how that works. Now, the algorithm that's doing this is taking a point in the center of the shape, drawing a radius around it, and then finding them. So sometimes they'll be slightly outside your box, but having used this several times now during incidents, I can tell you that the images that come in are powerful and extremely helpful. And then we would add to this all the relevant information that I need to know for my jurisdiction, critical infrastructure, and the like. So that is an example of those in action. The next big theme around our application is how do we keep field responders safe and connected? And we did 2 dedicated tools for doing this. Right? How do I need to let them know what's going on? I need to see what they're seeing so I can keep them safe. The first thing we did was real-time map-based collaboration. What we intended to simulate here is the common experience of the paper map on the hood of a truck during an incident, marker in hand, team gathered around, and it's just this very quick sketching of a plan. We need this to be looked at. We need you to go here. We need you to go here. We need you to hit this point and then check in, etc. How could we simulate that same type of experience virtually? Of course, we've got tactical radio, so we can be in voice communication, but it's limited without a map in front of us to share. So being able to draw on the map, do message board type text chat, and to do joint planning even when we're geographically separated is what this feature is all about. The second feature that we provided specifically for field responders was a really quick submit field photo. As soon as we started seeing the imagery from social media and our incident commanders and some of our early customers saw this, we quickly realized, we've got responders in the field. They're trained, they're trusted, they've got a mobile device. That mobile device has a location, it's got a camera. How ridiculously easy could we make it for them to submit a field photo and share it back with the operations center? And it's just snap, save, and keep moving, right? It's optimized for speed. We're doing a few things unique here, like on-device image compression and on-device location extraction. What that means is if I've got an iPhone 7 and I pick it up and I snap a photo, rather than trying to push a 14 megabyte file back over the network, we're compressing that file down on the device prior to sending it back. And that reduces network bandwidth, which is particularly important during incidents. So let me show you these 2 features in action. Let's come back to our active operating picture here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to split my screen. Now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to work with me a little bit here. This is 2 different applications. I'm signed in as 2 completely different users, and I'm running it in 2 different browser versions so that I've got the simulation of an application on one device and an application on another device. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk to my person in the field, so my field responder is over here, and I'm going to say, hey, I've got some questions for you. Have you got a minute to check in? Yeah, I'm good. It's like, hey, hop in Planning Alpha and let's have a conversation. So this person hops into Planning Alpha, and they may be on a completely different location on the map. It's like, you there, Bob? Right? And the moment you do that, Bob, who's over here also in Planning Alpha, it's like, yep, I'm here. It's like, okay, great. Well, I've got a question. I want to know whether there's been any indication of activity in this zone here. All right, so I'm going to send that out. Now, Bob gets that message, but he's like, well, what are you talking about? So all he needs to do is click on that. It's going to pan and zoom his map directly to that location. And he can say, no, nothing I've seen. Right? Send that back. It's like, okay, well, keep an eye out. Fair enough. Okay, we'll do that. And then within a minute or two, he's like, you know what? Actually, I do see flames. Better notify emergency services. Right, and let's just send a photo up for that. They make this so challenging these days to find, but we'll make it work. There we go, there's some flames, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to show, if I was on a mobile device, it would know exactly where I am, but for the sake of argument, let's drop that image here and send that off. Now the moment I do that from the field again, oh, okay, here's the image, I can see what you're seeing. Great, we'll go ahead and do that. Now we've got a whole set of tools here, from points to freehand to shapes to text that you can drop on the map. You can also change your styles and whatnot on the fly. So it's very, very flexible in terms of team and joint-based planning. The other thing I'll briefly show you before I leave here is you can see how many people are on the channel. You can actually get the list of those people. And as the owner of the room, these are fully securable. So you can set these up for specific groups, specific roles, and you can change what they can do within the room. Can they just see what's going on, or can they actively collaborate? So there's quite a bit of flexibility there as well. Now I did want to show you the field photo feature. So here I am on my mobile device again, and I want to use this very quick submit field photo. Now when I do that on a mobile device, my camera will pop up directly. I will be able to simply snap a photo. If I want to, of course, I can add details, but I don't have to do that. Now, if I was on a mobile device, it would know where I am. Let's go ahead and drop a point on the map. And then just that easy, without me having to have done anything else, it's compressing that photo in the background, sending it up to the server, automatically dropping a point so that everyone in the operations center can see that. And you can see it's dedicated to a particular location called Field Photos. So making that very, very easy. The moment I click send, I can put the phone back in my pocket and I can keep walking. All right, our third big theme is real-time, real-world information. What we obviously very quickly discovered is there's a lot going on in the real world that our incident commander needs to know about. It's not enough to give an incident commander tools. If it's important, we need to reach out and tap our incident commander on the shoulder and make them aware of what's going on. So some of the themes that we built around this were working with Esri's geo event and really being able to bring in real-world, real-time data feeds. You can see an example here on the top of an automated thing coming in from a Coast Guard service perhaps. There's a ship in distress at Sax Point showing you the location on the map and some sort of a graphic. We've also created an in-viewer alert system so that you'll be actively notified when new things come in that you're supposed to pay attention to. I'll show that to you. Using GeoEvent, we have the capability to send these alerts out via SMS messages or emails, so you don't necessarily even have to be in the application to get that initial report. And our customers so far have used this for a number of things. They're using GeoEvent for things like vehicle and responder locations. So my police vehicles or my fire trucks have AVL. I want to see them represented on the map, and I want to see things moving around in real time. We do that using Esri Streamlayers. Being able to use GeoEvent for integrating other real-time data sources, so computer-aided dispatch systems, for example. Some of our customers have taken something like Intrado, and they've brought their dispatches into GeoEvent and then piped them through directly into a dedicated collaboration channel inside Active Operating Picture so they can see them, and you can set rules up around these. So I might just want to see things as a general info stream, but if I get these three codes, one being maybe an active shooter, a bomb threat, and something else, then I can pipe those through also to the alert channel and make everyone aware right away. Weather alerts, stream gauge levels for areas that are prone to flooding, significant earthquakes within a region. This can be wired into many, many real-time data feeds, including things like be on the lookout notifications for everyone who's connected. So let me show you a couple quick examples of what that looks like in action. So here we are once again, and I will once again split my screen to make this just a little bit easier to see what's going on. So the first thing I wanted to show you was an example of a real-time alert. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do both of these manually. Normally, when you're doing an alert, you would actually do this in an automated way, but I'll just do it in this way. We'll put a point here, drop a point, give some information, bridge, SCADA system reports, fatigue. The moment I post this to my alert channel, it's going to show up on everyone's map. Everyone's going to receive this real-time alert, and they can of course access that, click on it, and see exactly what it is that we're talking about. Now normally these alerts are coming in from automated systems, and you can certainly hook them up that way, but as you've just seen, and maybe here's one more interesting example, AOP also lets your incident commander use this as a mechanism to notify field teams. So if there's a particular hazard zone that's just been reported, let's do that as an example. So I just want to do a really quick, visual. This area has reported high radiation. Stay out, right? And that is important enough that everybody needs to know, everyone gets the alert, and again, I can click directly on that and see it right away. So you can use this along with images for bolos and the like for police forces, or just about anything where you need to let everyone know what's going on. And you can see, because I haven't acknowledged them in this interface, it shows me that I have 2 outstanding alerts. So that's just a very quick example of some of the real-time notifications that can come in from external sources. Now, rapid iterative planning made simple. Wherever we can, we want to get your self-reporting resources on the map in an automated way. They're just there, you can see their locations, you don't really need to think too much about that. But during an incident, there's always a need to put temporary markup related to that incident on the map. I might just need to show some road closures, where some of my remote crews are, remote command center, staging areas, and the like. So how can we do that quickly and easily? Well, we've created planning tools that, through the collaboration interface you've already seen, make it very, very easy to designate areas, draw on the map, add labels. And again, the theme here is being able to do it quickly, rapidly, and then change it over time as the plan updates. You can also create a common operating view or a common operating picture that everyone has access to, that allows people to stay in touch with the current plan. So I could have a fire group, a police group, and an EMS group all doing their own planning, and each of them, when they're happy with their plan, pushing those up to a common view, say up on the wall or on everyone's mobile phone out in the field. And as I go ahead and push that up, everyone can now see it. So let me show you what that looks like. Once again, we will move to our split screen view here. And we've happily put things all over the place, but that's okay. We're going to move down to this area here. And I will show you what that looks like in action. So here we are. I'm going to use this planning alpha room to do my planning over here. And what I'm going to do on this side is I'm actually going to make this representative of my common view. So this is my what's visible up on the wall in my operations center. So just picture this as my common view. Now I want to do some planning. So I've got reports here. Let's actually go ahead and do something a little more interesting, like simulating a small chemical spill. So we'll initialize that. I want this to go in my planning alpha room. And I've had a small spill of chlorine. I can do this by name or by placard. And it's daytime, it's a small spill, and I'll go ahead and use the bearing that automatically is coming from my weather service. I could obviously enter a value here if I wanted. And based on those few inputs, using the ERG guide notifications, it's going to show me both the area of effect of the spill as well as the larger potential drift and area of evacuation. Now that's great, I'm happy with that, but I want to do more. I need to close a couple of roads, so let's go ahead and start this process. We're actually going to close the Trans-Canada Highway here, and I guess probably here. So set up road closures here. All right, we'll send those out and let that. Now, we'll start with that level of plan. Now what I want to do is I want to let the world, everyone who's involved in my organization, know what's going on. So let's go ahead and actually update my common view. And I do that by simply selecting that option of updating the common view. And in just a second here, it will come on up. All right, now I have an initial plan. I now want to share this with the rest of my organization by pushing it to the common view. And I do that by using this tool, the Update Common View tool. And what it's going to do is it's just going to prompt me for what planning room I'm responsible for. In this case, it's Planning Alpha, and I want to push that up to my common room. With that set of commands, I can now see this information on my common view. Now, of course, I can continue to do planning. I can show things like I want to put a staging area here, right? So this is going to be staging for response. I can also drop some points on the map. You can do image-based. We've given you some common point images. So we'll do remote EMS center here. Send that out. And then let's go ahead and update our common view again. And it's smart enough to, of course, keep track of what's happened, when it's happened, where it's going. And the part that I want to show you that I think is very, very interesting here is I can take this and say, you know what, actually, we're not going to put that there. We're going to put that there. Okay, move it on the map. It's smart enough to do an update based on that. And if I push that back out to my common view, then that's going to be represented on my map. So we want to make this planning as easy as we possibly can. Very last area I want to focus on is after action playback for review, training, learning, and future planning. We have a dedicated separate application for doing this, not during the incident, after the incident. We didn't want to clutter up the initial interface. You need the ability to go back and replay what's gone on in what order, giving you tools for choosing which collaboration channels you want to play back, and usually you create a new one at the beginning of an incident, for example. time-aware feature layers that you want to integrate with that, and then of course your playback controls themselves. Let me show that to you very briefly. Here is an example of that, and what I've done is I've gone ahead and created an example of an after-action playback incident room here in Souk, BC, and I'm going to go ahead and click the play button. It will take a moment to get rolling here. You can see I've joined this channel, and within a few seconds you'll begin seeing what happened back when I did this. So there was a gas explosion reported here. We've dispatched fire crews, and I can still interact with these things to see what we're talking about, set up some road blockages, accessed an area for staging, put a fire command in, dispatched a fire unit and given it a label, moved it to a new location, and then started cleaning up, tightened in my staging area, removed some barriers. Everything's looking good. Now that was played back at a very accelerated rate. I think it was 15 times real time, but nevertheless you can step through these things one step at a time or play them back in real time or in an accelerated way, and you can see exactly what was done, when it was done, and who did it. So that is a very, very useful tool for your after action reporting. Also briefly wanted to cover what's new to this 2.0 version of Active Operating Picture. Many of you are new to Active Operating Picture. I wanted to start with the value propositions and how it benefits you. But for some of my existing customers, what is it that's new? The first thing to recognize is that there was a lot of behind the scenes work. The very first version of Active Operating Picture delivered many of the same value propositions, but it was more standalone, and we wanted to integrate it more tightly with GeoCortex Essentials. This makes it super easy for you to deploy, update, manage within GeoCortex Essentials Manager, and the like. And then there was just a lot of addressing feedback. So you can see in the field collaboration area all the work around permissions and security and dedicated team channels, being able to create those channels and name those channels on the fly. Supporting the text messaging is new, and really just enabling multiple field collaborations so you can do multi-incident support or even joint team-based planning is all new to this version. The planning tool side of things, we'd always kept track of who and when, but now we make sure it's very, very visible in the application for you. We created some new patterns around the point tap. A lot of this was just making it more easily extensible by you through configuration, so you didn't need development services, for example, to do your extensions. We've included the current weather conditions and the Route Me Here workflow by default. We introduced a new pattern also for area of interest, and our existing customers will be interested to know that this is actually now a workflow-based pattern, which makes it very easy for you to extend, add your own social media providers, alternative demographics providers, or just summary information from pretty much any system that you have access to. On the field photo submission, I covered this already, but that client-side image compression is a new capability, and it really improves the performance a lot. We updated the ERG and bomb threat workflows. They now both operate off spreadsheets on disk. It makes it very easy for you to update those. And then of course the out-of-the-box after-action playback. We had already been building after-action playback for a couple of customers, but we wanted to make that part of the out-of-the-box experience. And then we've really focused on the handheld support, thoroughly tested it on multiple devices all the way down to 4-inch smaller devices, and it works fabulously well. So all those capabilities such as collaboration could be done, say, between two field responders both working on their mobile phones. So those are all new. Thank you for your time and your attention. I have a number of questions that have come in during this webinar through the question mechanism, and I thought I would try and address a few of them very, very quickly. So the first question is, does this use Collector for field photo submission? Not specifically. The field photo that I demonstrated for you today is an internal mechanism. It's internal because we really wanted to be able to do that compression. Having said that, if you are already using Collector, it's very, very trivial for you to take the feature layer that Collector is doing its field photo submission to and include that as part of your after-action active operating picture application. When using collaboration, are the markups in the text archived? Are they date and time stamped? Yes, they are. They're all stored archived and date time stamped so that you can do playback and whatnot. Great question here from an emergency manager talking about multiple audiences. So one as the general public, two as emergency responders and community planners. So the alerts functionality question is, what's it really designed for? It's designed more for the emergency responders and the community planners. What we generally recommend is that you create a separate public site. It's very easy to do using GeoCortex Essentials, where you can send a subset of your data to for public alerts. And we also have customers who have, for example, used that area of interest tool and had it generate, say, a CSV notification list that they then send to their notification software. For sure, I know we've done, I think it's called Evenbridge or EventBridge, I can't remember, but dialers, notification software can be integrated for doing public alerts as well. ABL, how does it work? Can we show it? It's hard to show because generally speaking, the integrations we've done are to real people's police vehicles, and they don't like us to demo that, or fire vehicles. It works using GeoEvent and Esri Streamlayers. We've interfaced. Which CAD systems have we interfaced with is a question. I know for sure we've done Entrado. I think we've done one other, but it's done using GeoEvent, and it's got a very specific pattern that we use that works very well, so it shouldn't be a problem to integrate your CAD system as well. Where do we store the collaboration data? Is that stored within an Esri feature data set or within Latitude database tables? Interestingly, the answer is neither. Some of our early prototypes, we were using the Esri feature data for that collaboration, but we very quickly realized that for performance and scalability, we needed a different technology. We're also not storing it in our own database tables. We're using a third-party technology called Elasticsearch. This is what powers things like Facebook and Netflix. It's very, very good at high transaction storage and retrieval, and that is where the collaboration data is stored. You have access to that data using your GeoCortex Essentials Manager dashboard. You can see it there. How do the demographic stats work? Currently, they're coming from ArcGIS Online geo-enrichment data, but this workflow can be modified to use your own demographics data. Some of our customers, depending on what type of emergency management they're doing, have already got subscriptions to higher quality demographic data. For example, you might want demographic data that differentiates an area between daytime and evening, where the population can change quite dramatically from rural to city center. Can you have different roles, view, edit? Yeah, I showed that very, very briefly, but yes, you can set up different roles for users, both from a security point of view, so you could have certain data layers that were only accessible to certain persons if they're not to be generally viewable even within your emergency management response group. And then in the collaboration area, of course, you have different roles there as well. Pictometry, Street View, kind of how's that done? Both for technology and licensing reasons, we generally are going to open those up into a third-party browser window. It's just the best way to accomplish it and still allow it to happen. Couple questions here about how it's licensed and how it's priced. In general, it's an extension price. It's based on either the population that you're serving, or if you're a commercial organization, your annual revenue. Just give us a quick ping and we're happy to give you more information on how that works. Are we consuming ArcGIS Online services or ArcGIS Server services for this? Because it's based on GeoCortex Essentials, you've got a lot of flexibility here. Yes, we're consuming ArcGIS Online services. In some cases, we're also consuming services directly from ArcGIS Server, or portal items are fine as well. We also have the ability to consume OGC services. Many jurisdictions have public data that is in OGC format and they need to consume those. So pretty much every data format is supported. Question about the pre-plans. If it's already a pre-plan and a feature class, can we kind of create a link so that when you see those you can click through? The short answer is yes, you can absolutely do that. Is a screenshot capture available built in? We haven't got a specific screen capture function. I'd love to hear more about that requirement. Most devices do have a quick press screen capture capability. Does it interface with Intermedic's WebEOC? Yes, we have done integrations with WebEOC. The way that is generally done is we create a dedicated board in WebEOC for the operating picture. We have a unique username and password that again is given to the operating picture, and then anytime something important that they want to share with the operating picture, they copy it to that board. We pick it up through GeoEvent and then show it immediately on the map. Where is our weather data coming from? It's coming from a service called Open Weather API, and that is, you can Google it and find it, but it's a free service where you can just use it, or if you want to, you can pay a monthly fee to get kind of higher resolution, faster updating data as well. Where is AOP built? Is it built on top of GeoCortex Essentials Manager, etc.? It is all managed directly within GeoCortex Essentials Manager. It's built as a true extension, and creating these is actually very trivial as well. You simply say, I want to create a new site, and you'll be prompted to create a new active operating picture or after action playback application. Can we consume addressing geocoders? Yes, we can. So for many places, I remember doing some work with Vermont a little while back, and they had all these ski trails and other things that simply weren't going to be on an out-of-the-box geocoder. And yes, it's very trivial for us with GeoCortex Essentials to rewire it to use your own geocoder. And finally, do we integrate with something like Active Directory for security? And the answer is yes. We support Active Directory, LDAP, Windows integrated authentication, a number of different security providers, and we have a framework such that we can pretty much guarantee we can integrate with your security provider for doing that as well. There's a lot of questions. Thank you for hanging in there with me and for your time and attention today. We will talk with you soon, and have an excellent day.